Hi, I'm Adam from the SpiderOak team, and today I'm joined by Reed from SpiderOak. Today we're going to talk about something that's been in the news a lot recently, but as well as over time. Social engineering is something that you see everywhere, from spy movies to on the news, about people that have impersonated their way into secure facilities or tricked people into giving away important information. So I'm happy to be joined by Reed to talk a little bit more about social engineering. So Reed, what can you tell us about social engineering? What is it?
Yeah, social engineering is the art of manipulating a target to take actions that are against their best interest. In the context of computer security, we're mostly talking about divulging confidential information or granting an attacker privileged access to systems or physical locations.
So can you give me some specific examples of how social engineering is commonly manifested?
Yeah, phishing attacks, it's something that we've probably all seen or dealt with in our life. A phishing attack is where a victim is going to be crafting a document, either an email, a website, a text message, and sending it to the target with the hope that you're going to follow through on a link because it looks like it's coming from an official source, and then take actions that will give up either your credentials, personal information. One example, actually, that just came about of coming from the Equifax breach. Equifax put up a website, I believe it was called EquifaxSecurity2017.com, where people who thought they might be a victim could go put in some personal information, and the website would say yes or no, something like that. A gentleman by the name of Nick Sweeting created his own website. He called it SecurityEquifax2017.com. Just switching two of the words. And actually, this was a phishing site. He wasn't doing anything malicious as far as I've read. Excuse me. And the funny thing is that Equifax was actually tweeting this URL out on Twitter, telling people to go there and check to see if they had been breached. This is an example of someone just not paying too close attention to what they were sending out. They didn't verify the link, and as a result, you now have an official source, the Equifax Twitter, sending their customers to this phishing site. Yeah. Another common social engineering technique is something called pretexting. Pretexting is basically, it involves an attacker creating a fictitious scenario, and when they find their target, or they usually have their target picked out in advance, and they've done a lot of research on this target. They've looked at their social media profiles. They've looked at the social media profiles of the business. They've tried to pick up on habits that they might have, and they're able to craft this story. Usually it involves maybe having some higher authority or attempting to help the person they're talking to. But they have this story, and it enables the attacker to get this rapport with the victim. And once you have this rapport and this dialogue started, it's really, really easy to start giving up information that you might not think is terribly important, but you can be giving up sensitive information like your passwords or usernames, confidential business documents, stuff like that. Couple examples I can talk about for pretexting. Locally in Kansas City, there's a security meetup called SecKC, and we had a gentleman come in whose job it is to go to these buildings and try to gain access to them. He's paid by the company to attempt to break in. This particular individual had gone to a hardware store, bought some overalls, didn't bathe for like a week, I believe he said. He bought a spray container that you might see like a pesticide person using to spray for bugs. Mm-hmm. He also created a fake work order form that said he was supposed to be at the building spraying for bugs. So you now have this guy that looks the part. He's got the coveralls. He looks kind of disgruntled, like he doesn't want to be there. Walks up to the security guard, shows him the fake work order form, and the guard lets him in. And he's now gained access to the building. He goes and finds a workroom where some people are hard at work on their computers. He tells them, he might have pulled out a respirator and said, I've got to spray for bugs. I wouldn't be breathing this in if I had to. Everyone gets up and walks out of the room. So now that he's in a workroom by himself, and he just walks around, picks up badges, picks up notepads, he'll pick up thumb drives, external hard drives. So while he's in the room, he has a clipboard that he's able to flip open that has a compartment, and he's taking these badges and IDs, and he's taking these thumb drives, sticking them into the compartment of this clipboard. And then he sprays water, which is what's in the tank, all around the office. He then walks back out to the security guard, makes the security guard sign the work order form saying that he has now sprayed the building for bugs, and then goes home and contacts his point of contact to let him know that he was successful in infiltrating the business.
That's horrifying.
It is. It's knowing, doing the research to know the targets, acting the part, and yeah, just being able to sell that story is very important. Humans, I think, have an innate sense of wanting to help people. Mm-hmm. And so when we want to help people so much, it's really easy to help people into places that they're not supposed to be. Wow. One other example I can think of is occurred at DEF CON, and if you have a chance to go, I'd highly recommend checking out the Social Engineering Village at DEF CON. You can actually see people attacking targets live. They'll put them in a booth, and they will be calling different levels of employees at the business and attempting to gain information. This one individual I saw, he called an intern who I believe was working over the weekend and told the intern that he was from the HR department, and there had been some complaints about the onboarding process, that the interns weren't given better computers or that the badges weren't working. Mm-hmm. And so once this person had gained this trust of the intern, he was able to ask, well, we've been giving out these laptops. Can you just flip your laptop over and tell me the model number? Oh, you have this model number. Okay, well, I'll make a note and see if we can get you a better machine. And he was actually able to direct the intern to a website. And the point of this website was it had in big block letters, it said, protect yourself from social engineering. Well, the intern didn't really know what he was doing. And so he just started, clicking the buttons that the attacker was taking him to. And he was able to direct that intern back to that site on 2 other occasions because he was being fed the lines, go to this website, click and do this review. It's really, really easy once you believe you have trust in someone to give over personal information and do the actions that they say without really thinking about it from a bigger context.
So given that this is kind of this plays on natural human impulses, like to help people, what can a normal person do to avoid this kind of attack?
It's really hard. The steps that we can take to try to mitigate these types of attacks is don't trust, but authenticate. So if you get a phone call from, let's say, your bank, and it says there's some suspicious activity on your bank, we want you to, can you verify your account credentials for us? Well, instead of doing it right there, tell them that you'll call back, hang up, pull out your credit card, look on the back for that identity theft number, and call that number, because now you're initiating the call and you know that the source you're talking to is from the bank. The other thing we can do is deny before allow. We can make sure that we're not allowing people into areas and then checking afterwards if they're supposed to be there or not. Mm-hmm. If you work in a business and maybe you have a delivery person that comes in and you know them really well, and they're used to just walking right into the business, walking into someone's office and dropping off a package, well, that's very easy to abuse if someone can find out that information. I can dress up like a delivery person, walk in, and have unfettered access to the business. Mm-hmm. So you want to deny access to those locations before allowing them in. You always want to challenge if you think that you're not, maybe you shouldn't be giving out information to someone, challenge their authority. Because a lot of the times people will not be upset if you challenge them.
Mhm.
The people that are upset either aren't really security focused or it's potentially an attacker who's trying to get information from you.
Right.
The other thing is to just really be aware of what you're putting on social media and out into the web in general. Taking selfies in your business at your desk is an excellent way to have information on your monitor to now end up online. That can tell an attacker what programs you're using. That could even have passwords on it. That could have IP addresses that you're connecting to. There's all sorts of information that we knowingly or unknowingly put online that do nothing but help people come up with these situations where they can then try to attack us and gain information.
Yeah, in fact, I saw a story just the other day about an Apple employee who was fired because he took his daughter to work and she made a video with the iPhone X.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it before they had released it, but some of the information that was shown in the video on the screen of his iPhone was, privileged corporate information.
Absolutely.
He was fired for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Reed. Any final thoughts or other scary examples you want to share with us?
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. We'll try to include some resources on this. The website social-engineer.org is a fantastic resource for not only learning, it's for learning both sides, either to attack or protect yourself from being attacked. But there's some fantastic information on there. And they also have a podcast they do talking about social engineering and all the many attacks that can take place. And we'll also try to get a video where you can actually see a live attack on a business. It's quite interesting how fast and how easy it is once you have this perceived identity where people will start following your directions.
All right. Well, we'll add those links to those resources in the description of the video. And if you're on SpiderOak.com, just scroll down and you'll see these things here in the post. Thanks again, Reed. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Adam.